Yo, welcome to the channel. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a great day. And today we're going to be reacting to a Harry Potter video. Go and subscribe to Harry Potter Theory. Insane content. I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, and I'm going to be uploading more Harry Potter videos. This is the top 5 most powerful Slytherins in Harry Potter. Should be interesting. I'm expecting we all know who number 1's going to be, but 5 to 2 is going to be a I'm expecting Snape in there somewhere. Who else? Harry Potter, of course, because he's a Slytherin. Draco Malfoy. Let's get into this.
Hey everyone, welcome to another installment of Harry Potter Theory.
Hey!
Today, we're going to be discussing the 5 most powerful witches and wizards that came from Slytherin House at Hogwarts. Now, of the 4 houses at Hogwarts, we know Slytherin as the house that gets a bit of a bad rap. There's not a single witch or wizard who went bad who wasn't in Slytherin.
Listen, comment down below. When you were a kid, what house do you want to be in? I'm not gonna lie. For some reason, Slytherin was mine. I wanted to be the guy who joined Slytherin and was a goodie.
Hagrid famously remarks.
Or not.
But in reality, becoming bad or evil is not actually a defining characteristic of a Slytherin student, and Hagrid's remark is actually quite inaccurate. Their poor reputation with the other houses aside, Slytherin House has produced some of the greatest and most powerful wizards that the world has ever seen. Salazar Slytherin, one of the 4 founders of Hogwarts, valued students who were clever, resourceful, and determined, but also those who, in Dumbledore's words, had a certain disregard for the rules. These were all characteristics that matched the founder's own values.
You think about that, he literally explained Harry Potter. Right? Like, that guy was always breaking the rules.
Interestingly enough, Dumbledore would also later note that these were actually all characteristics of Harry Potter. However, as we know, he was placed in Gryffindor over Slytherin after some deliberation by the Sorting Hat. Slytherins have a lot going for them, and are often strong leaders, as we have seen in Tom Riddle, and well, Salazar Slytherin himself. They are also highly ambitious, cunning, and achievement-oriented. Unlike the other founders, Salazar Slytherin had a tendency to favour pure-blood students over muggleborns and half-bloods for his house, and this is actually something that the Sorting Hat takes into account when sorting students. Ron is pretty open about his opinion of Salazar Slytherin. I always knew Salazar Slytherin was a twisted old loony, but I never knew he started all this pureblood stuff. I wouldn't be in his house if you paid me. Honestly, if the Sorting Hat had tried to put me in Slytherin, I'd have got the train straight back home. It's not uncommon for Slytherin students to form groups.
Sorry, I thought
which
a
leaves
wasp
the
flew in my
opening
room.
for someone to assume the role of group leader. We see this with Malfoy and his gang, as well as Tom Riddle, who formed his own gang while at school.
Aren't they making a film about Tom Riddle? I think I remember hearing something about that. That would be really, really cool.
Same gang that would go on to become the Forerunners to what would become the Death Eaters. So, they're powerful, but who are the 5 most powerful to have ever lived? Let's jump into it. Number 5, Bellatrix Lestrange. Bellatrix Lestrange, born Bellatrix Black of the House of Black, was an English pureblood witch.
Listen, you hate her, you love her, but man did she have a beautiful mane of hair. Sorry, I love a girl with curly hair, just saying.
Who would have attended Hogwarts around 1962.
Never mind.
Bellatrix was the eldest of her siblings and is the older sister of Andromeda Tonks and Narcissa Malfoy. It should come as no surprise that Bellatrix was sorted into Slytherin House during her time at the school. Shortly after leaving, she became a Death Eater and became known by many as one of Voldemort's most loyal and dangerous followers. She was widely considered to be one of the most feared witches in the wizarding world. Her fear-inspiring name and bloodthirsty reputation were well deserved, and she was known to have murdered and tortured numerous witches and wizards, including Neville Longbottom's parents. Her magical abilities were more than impressive, as
Also, Helena Bonham Carter is an amazing actress. Very underrated as well. Isn't she married? I think she's married to Tim Burton as well, who's a guy who made Edward Scissorhands and stuff, which is why she's always in his movies. What else did Tim Burton make? I'm trying to remember. That guy's got some crazy films. Good ones as well.
As she was trained in the dark arts by Lord Voldemort himself. She displayed a particular proficiency and affinity for the Cruciatus curse, and she claimed to have a knowledge of dark spells that was hard to comprehend. This claim was backed by Voldemort himself. Bellatrix was also a known proponent of the killing curse, but she often didn't use it until she had sufficiently tortured her victim. She has a track record of taking on numerous Auras and Order of the Phoenix members, and she was even known to have deflected a spell from Albus Dumbledore himself, making her the only Death Eater to escape from him. This is just another example of her formidable magical abilities.
You think about it, she actually wasn't that powerful because she couldn't fix her teeth. That seems to be like a weakness in the Slytherins spell cabinet. It's like the teeth curing spell. I wish I could do that, but I'm currently struggling with a toothache.
That reinforces her position on this list. Number 4. Severus Snape.
4?
Severus Snape was born in 1960 to a Muggle father and witch mother. Snape began attending Hogwarts in 1971 along with Harry's mother, Lily Evans. Despite not being a pureblood, Snape was sorted into Slytherin, while Lily was sorted into Gryffindor. This was very hard on Snape as he was in love with Lily from a very young age. While still very young, Snape began to practice the dark arts, fueled by the rage stemming from incessant bullying at the hands of James Potter, Sirius Black, and the Marauders. Snape ended up joining the Death Eaters along with other Slytherins from his year, and Snape acted as a double agent during the Wizarding War. Amazingly, for the duration of the Wizarding War, he was able to stop Voldemort from reading his mind, which is a testament to his power as an Occlumens. It was clear that Snape was very talented from a very young age, and while learning his primary course material at Hogwarts, he would scribble in his notebook and
genuinely my favourite character in Harry Potter. Like, it's not even, it genuinely isn't even close. I can't even think of anyone close. Maybe Lupin, but Lupin wasn't in it for a long time. But yeah. Alan Rickman, man, rest in peace. What an amazing actor he was in that movie, man. Like, you couldn't pick a perfect person. Like, he was probably the best casted person for the role he had.
Invent curses, charms, and potions.
Probably Hermione second.
Under the alias the Half-Blood Prince, Snape would scribble these into his potions textbook, which contained many powerful spells. Some of these spells include Levicorpus, the Muffliato Charm, Vulnera Sedentor, and Sectum Sempra, which, if cast on an enemy, is like slashing them all over their body with an invisible sword.
Damn.
If you ever had any doubt in your mind at all regarding Snape's power, it's worth mentioning that he was even recognized to be a powerful wizard by Lord Voldemort himself. Snape was only 38 years old when he died, but in the time that he was alive, he showed so much promise and so much expertise in so many different areas. I think that if Snape were to have survived the Wizarding War, he could have been one of the most powerful wizards ever. And I truly believe that he could have contended power-wise with the likes of Dumbledore and Voldemort.
Damn.
Number 3. Salazar Slytherin. Salazar Slytherin.
I barely know anything about Salazar Slytherin. I'm excited for
this. You
this.
might have heard the surname. Was one of the 4 founders of Hogwarts, alongside Rowena Ravenclaw, Helga Hufflepuff, and Godric Gryffindor. It has been expressed that the power of the Hogwarts founders is thought to be uncomparable to most modern-day witches and wizards, and Salazar Slytherin is no exception. He was a pureblood wizard that was born sometime before 976 AD. Given that Hogwarts was founded around 990 AD, my best guess that he would have been born sometime between 930 to 960 AD. However, given that he was immensely powerful, he may have been around for much longer than that. Slytherin did not like Muggle-born students and was a strong proponent of having only pureblood students at Hogwarts. This philosophy was ultimately passed on to other Slytherins. His response to Muggle-born students attending the school was to build the Chamber of Secrets, which concealed a basilisk that was intended to purge the school of these students.
Damn.
He felt that Muggle-borns were unworthy of studying magic. Though we don't know too much about him, we do know that he was extremely powerful in casting dark charms and spells, and he was notably skilled at legilimency, wand-making, basilisk breeding, and charms, having helped to create the Sorting Hat. Number 2. Merlin. Merlin isn't alluded to much in the Harry Potter universe. but we do know a few things about him, and he is referenced in a few places. He is most often mentioned when the popular phrase Merlin's beard is used, and we know that he is the founder of the Order of Merlin, which is both an award bestowed upon witches and wizards who have achieved great deeds, as well as a group advocating rules which prevented spells from being used on muggles. So even though he was a Slytherin, he really wasn't such a bad guy. This just goes to show that not all Slytherins are evil. Merlin's portrait can be found on the wall in Hogwarts, as well as on a chocolate frog card. Merlin is said to have been one of the most powerful wizards that ever lived, and his name alone is known by every witch and wizard. Merlin was alive during the medieval era and was a member of King Arthur's court. Hogwarts was founded in 990 AD, and there are a few different theories floating around in regards to the year that Merlin attended the school. Some sources indicate that Merlin was born in 982 AD, which would make him one of the very first students at Hogwarts. This would also mean that Merlin was taught directly under founder Salazar Slytherin's tutelage. However, this is all speculation, and other sources state that he was a student sometime between the 11th and 15th century. I'm inclined to lean towards the former theory because I think that some of Merlin's power could be attributed to him having a teacher as powerful as Salazar Slytherin. Merlin was sorted into Slytherin House during his time at Hogwarts, and was known to be a master of charms. His skill in using charms and enchantments was so adept that he is commonly referred to as the Prince of Enchanters. But not only was Merlin powerful, he was also a good guy, and as I mentioned earlier, believed in Muggle rights and wanted harmony between Muggles and the magical world. And
Salazar
finally,
hated him.
number 1, Voldemort. Voldemort is undoubtedly one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful dark wizard in the entire Harry Potter universe. Born Tom Marvolo Riddle in 1926, Voldemort began attending Hogwarts in 1938
Such a
and was
cool
sorted
story,
into
man.
none other than Slytherin House.
And that kid, by the way, was another underrated actor in the. He done a perfect job as a young Voldemort, in my opinion. Even the younger one, that Dumbledore went and saw, even he done a brilliant job.
Dumbledore and Voldemort are thought to possess fairly equal power, with the obvious exception of one practicing magic for good and another practicing it for evil. One of his earliest acts of evil was when he opened Salazar Slytherin's Chamber of Secrets while attending the school in order to cleanse the school of Muggleborns. Even at a young age, Voldemort proved himself to be a magical prodigy, as he was able to utilize and control magic without the use of a wand. He had the power to move objects with his mind, to communicate with and control animals, and even inflict harm on those who opposed or annoyed him. He even left Dumbledore astonished. Voldemort performed feats of magic thought impossible, and his magical accomplishments eclipsed and dwarfed those of any dark wizard before him, with the exception of perhaps Grindelwald. Voldemort began experimenting with the dark arts at a very young age, and even began creating his first Horcrux at the age of 16, eventually splitting his own soul into a total of 8 fragments. Voldemort was also a Parseltongue, meaning he could speak to snakes, which is often an indicator that you are a descendant of Salazar Slytherin himself. Voldemort was also exceptionally skilled at occlumency and legilimency, meaning that he was an expert at penetrating the mind of others while being able to keep others out of his. Some examples of his long list of abilities include flying, creating Horcruxes, creating spells, notably Mors Mord, which summons the Dark Mark, controlling Inferi, possessing living creatures, and transfiguration. And that's it for this list. Honourable mentions include Horace Slughorn, who didn't quite cut it, and Lucius Malfoy, who, for all of the flack that he gets, is actually quite a gifted wizard. I think that depending on the sort of skills that you value, you could rearrange some of the spots on this list, but I'm fairly happy with this outcome. I had thought about rearranging the top 3, but I think that there's just so much evidence to reinforce Lord Voldemort as the most powerful dark wizard and Slytherin graduate to have ever lived.
I think he should have done a list without Voldemort in it, because we all knew who was going to be number 1. But that was a really, really good video. That genuinely makes me want to watch the movies.
A lot of people claim that Merlin is the greatest wizard to have ever lived, period. But we just don't have enough information on him, so I can't say that I can confidently put him in the top position on this list.
That's fair.
Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Remember,
Damn, that was a really good video. Let me know any more Harry Potter videos you want to see. Not a single witch or wizard that went bad wasn't in Slytherin. Wormtail lost in Gryffindor. If Rowling wanted even more money, she'd write a book for each founder of Hogwarts. A book about their lives. What they went through until they meet the others. Each book would end the same and tie them together. Jeez, that sounds really good. The only reason Harry wasn't in Slytherin is because he simply asked not to be. I disagree. Well, when he gets sorted, I'm pretty sure he didn't really prioritize bravery. Yeah, he did have a piece of Voldemort in him, true. Do this for all 4 houses. Hey, let me know if you guys want to see that, man. Like, there's some cool videos here. Top most powerful Weasleys. Why Dumbledore hired Gilderoy Lockhart. 8 most powerful offensive spells. The books never say Salazar thought Muggleborns were not worthy of learning magic. It says he didn't consider them worthy of trust. Also says that Hogwarts was built to protect young wizards on a time when wizards were chased and killed by Muggles. So my guess is he thought someone with a close relation to Muggles could betray them and lead Muggle armies to the castle. Damn, I never knew that. Damn. Yeah, I didn't know Snape was that young either. Everyone's saying Merlin, but I can see why he didn't put Merlin number 1. Either way, I'm going to react to more Harry Potter stuff. Let me know if there are any channels that I should react to, or any videos that I should react to. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.